on your radio or TV, but you can share it and spread the vibe. Mutandi kwango bulamu bwambirigo iyengo yogero jatimba mugeto gweno itu muntu titwaba twesobolayo ne tweyogerako ng'obulumi bwa suso abantu bakubwa basibwa n'abandi battibwa naye tetwakowa twakuma ne tukusa ensonga bwenjogera nti olayogera ndowooza katogiraba ensonga sibalikeeko nze simanyi oba tutongere Lwakikala omukulu takolanga bana batentebe mu ddembe engamba omukulu agenda wadde nga yeekazalimba oyo nze mumanye tunola omukulu atidde agenda eyali yazala wakuyo mpolampola nga tandise okuyeba ago ge maanyi g'abantu wali eyo yongeza omuliro olaba nabali tebakkiriza bamala nabo ne bakkiriza kakati ow'ekikofiira atyazo wakakofiira balikeeko nze simanyi oba tutongere sipidi yeeyo nze simanyi oba tutongere sukalikeeko nze simanyi oba tutongere amaanyi geeko nze simanyi oba tutongere.
You're watching us from. My name is David Bura, and I welcome you today in this exclusive interview with a man who has been in politics actively for 2 and 4 months as a member of parliament, but a man who has changed the political dynamics of the country. Today I'm joined with a man who has been arrested, businesses affected, but he still stands strong, and he believes in his movement, he believes in the people who support him, and he has inspired many young people to join politics. Joining me today in this exclusive interview is Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. Honorable, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
My brother.
Normally I have people who come here, we talk about different issues, but today is a special day.
Oh.
Because what makes it special, you are one guy who never gives up. And personally, I like that from you. I've seen people talk about it, and I believe you're one person who believes in the struggle and you want something to happen.
Sure.
But let me start with this. Recently, you released the song. I'm glad I'm starting with the song, Kasukali Tuongeremu.
Yeah.
I didn't get the message. I didn't understand what you were talking about. So what does Sukali Tuongeremu to take?
You didn't get the message?
What is Sukali Tuongeremu?
I mean, it's a Luganda song, but of course I intend to translate it into different languages, particularly Ugandan languages, because it's my desire to communicate deeply with my fellow countrymen and women. But that song is literally delivered in a poetic way, and I'm literally asking, is the speed all right, or should I increase a little? Is the energy all right, or should we increase a little? You know, what do we mean? We have put up resistance, and this resistance is against oppression, it's against a dictatorship, and we are seeing results. We are seeing people that never used to take us serious, people that used to dismiss us as a passing clout. But now you see them bulging. We are looking at a military dictator that is a general, but we are looking at him saluting ghetto youth. And all this is after we exerted pressure. We as the ghetto people, we as young people of Uganda. So we are, first of all, congratulating ourselves. But again, we're asking, is that all right, or should
Should you add something?
Yeah.
You know, I always break the rules. That's why I started immediately with asking you that question. But first, speak to the people who are out there in the communities in different parts of the world. Who is Bobby Wine nowadays?
First of all, allow me to salute all of them. I greet you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching us from. Bobby Wine is an artist. An ordinary ghetto youth from Uganda, a musician, an ordinary businessman, and recently became well, it's not recent, it's 2 years and a few months.
That's right.
Became a member of parliament, and I'm leading a social movement, a revolutionary movement called People Power that seeks to put an end to the Museveni dictatorship in Uganda that has oppressed the people of Uganda for 34 years. That is Bobby Wine, and I'm glad to be here.
That is Bobby Wine, and you're glad to be here, and I appreciate that you were here with me.
Thank you.
You know, you mentioned about you are leading the movement and you want to see things happen. You talked about the dictatorship back in Uganda,
yeah,
and a number of things.
Yeah.
And that is very important. But most, if I look into the current political environment in Uganda, you are one of the few people, or the many, whose businesses have been affected tremendously. Do you think there is going to be any change now that we are getting to the real political elections coming 2021?
First of all, I'm glad you corrected it and set record straight that I'm not just one of the few people, I'm one of the very many people whose businesses and indeed livelihoods have been affected directly or indirectly by the misrule in Uganda. I'm only humbled, and I constantly say this, that a light seems to shine so much on me, and that's why I always try as much as possible on every opportunity to highlight the plight of other Ugandans. This has been ongoing. It has affected me, it has affected you. Some might see it, some might not see it, but it has affected all of us. But again, I'm thankful to God that people have woken up, people have risen up, people are pushing back against the dictatorship. About whether or not we're going to have change, that should not be the question. The question is, when are we going to get change? And I would say very soon.
Very soon? You're talking about 2021 or 2026?
I'm talking about 2021 or before.
Try to take me down into the or before. How are you going to make that happen? What strategies do you have to make this change before even 2021?
Well, let me start with 2021. We are law-abiding citizens. We are peaceful people. We believe in democracy, and we see an opportunity in 2021. Uganda is a country of 44 million people. And as you know, over 85% of those people are younger than me. These are people that have never seen another president in their life. And so for a long time, they've been apathetic because they've been convinced, like you were asking me, is change possible? Very many of them thought it's not possible because these are ordinary people that have been deliberately disconnected to the government, from the governance of their country. They've been excluded deliberately. So for the first time, we see a huge bulge of Ugandans plunging into politics, opening their eyes and saying, hey, this is the determinant of our livelihood. So you see so many people, you know, rising up and say, hey, we deserve better and we can get better. And we, as the leadership of the People Power Movement, we've been championing a cause, calling upon people to register massively as voters. And as you must have seen, statistics show that more than 2.5 million people have actually registered in the last year as voters. We believe that by the time we go to the polls, we are going to have a crazily huge number of voters. These people share the same plight with us. They share the same aspirations with us. And we believe that these people are going to vote for change. So for the first time, we are going to corner the dictatorship. You know, for a very long time, they've been rigging votes because in any case, the votes have not been overwhelmingly against the dictatorship, which I believe we're going to get this time around. And that's why I believe that we're going to get change. Now, before the 2021, you realize that General Museveni and his family and henchmen have, rolled out despicable violence against the people of Uganda because they're panicking. They know they are on their way out. And you know what the dictators do. Every time they go into panic mode, they get more dangerous. And the more they get dangerous, the danger is not only on one side.
Sometimes they feel like they are smart.
Yeah, they feel like they're smart. They always feel like they're smart until they're outsmarted.
What's your strategy to outsmart the guy who has been in power for over 33 plus years? And he's still saying, I'm coming back. He removed the term limits. You were there. You fought against it. And he's still there. So what is your strategy against that? As people power, not specifically as you, as Bobby Wine or Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, but as people power movement.
As the people of Uganda, as the people of Uganda, people power is not a group of people. People power is an idea that is being, fronted by the people of Uganda. People power simply means the power that belongs to people, the power that has been taken away from the people by, a group of people that came in with violence. And we believe that the people of Uganda, having had their eyes opened over time, are going to be decisive in 2021 or before. Why do I say before? Because people always push back against any kind of injustice. They always push back against extreme oppression, and that is what is probably going to happen before 2021. However, our focus is 2021. We are going to the polls. Have I told you I'm running against President Museveni?
That's where I was going.
Please go there first.
Because I like, the reason I started straight out with the politics is because that's what it is before we go into the economy and the other parts of the world. Now, you are standing against President Museveni. You declared that when you were unveiling the coordinators of the People Power movement. And you're running against a guy who has been in power, strong, has the military and everything, and you think you have chances of winning?
There's one thing you forget to say. You should be saying, I am running against a guy that has oppressed people for 34 years and people have gotten tired, hungry, and angry. I'm running against a guy who is 75 years old, or so he says. I strongly believe he's much older than that. This is a guy who is in his senile stage. I'm running against a guy who has destroyed all institutions and tried to concentrate all power in his hands, his family and his henchmen, which is practically impossible. I'm running against a guy who has over time become a public enemy. So all factors are against this guy that you think is strong.
Am I looking into the community around him that is making him strong? Probably the wife or the children?
The wife or the children? I don't think so. You are talking about a few people that he's standing with. And I'm talking about millions upon millions of people, especially young people that we represent.
Now, the President Museveni was recently in Russia.
Yeah.
In a summit that connects Russia and Africa.
Yeah.
And of course, some of the things they asked for was military and all that. But as a candidate who is going to stand in come 2021, we know from the American sources that Russia is one of the key countries that can disorganize an elections.
Yeah.
And they have the power, they can control the internet. You are running in 2021. The president was in Russia, getting more links there. Don't you think your avenues of marketing the People Power movement idea during that time will be sabotaged by the regime?
I strongly believe that people power is stronger than gun power. Okay? And I know that Museveni has been meeting all these people. But again, I must tell you that Bashir was much more equipped militarily. He had much more money, than Museveni. He fell to the power of the people. Protests led by a woman. Gaddafi. Name all the dictators that have, lived on the African soil. So while You might be looking at it from the pessimistic point of view. I look at it from the optimistic point of view.
Because I'm looking at it this way. All these guys who mentioned, Gaddafi, Bashir, all these were hosted by technically people say support from countries like United States and Europe.
Well,
do you think it's going to be the same case with the
It might have been the case with Gaddafi. It was certainly not the case with Bashir. You know, Bashir was kicked out by the people
of Sudan.
By the people of Sudan.
All right, so let's get into now the other issues that are affecting Ugandans. Today we know that the common good, there are so many challenges affecting the common good, and different ways. People have suggested different reasons why the economy is not moving forward, why the political environment is not doing good. To you, as Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi, who has been in Parliament for close to 2 and 4, 5 months,
yeah,
what are the 3 key main challenges you think are affecting Uganda?
Well, unfortunately, you asked for 3. I could give you 100, but I'll give you the 3. First and foremost, we live under a kleptocracy, for lack of a better word. You know, when I look at the government of Uganda, when I look at how the country is governed, the country is not governed by the rule of law. We're only being governed, it's not rule of law, it's ruled by law. We have never had a peaceful transfer of power for the last 57 years since independence. Every leader that comes in bombs his way in and is bombed out. And that's a big, big challenge. That has caused all the corruption, it has caused all the impunity, because the people who wield power have no imagination that they will leave power. So they are not accountable to anybody. In any case, they are appointed according to their relationship with those that are near power. But again, besides the power issue, Uganda has a dead education system. It has a dead healthcare system. And the dead education system explains why we have graduates that are, trained as job seekers, not as job creators. It explains the unemployment. It explains why we export house girls and casual laborers, not professionals like those we import. And that's a very big problem. Our healthcare system, if I start talking about it, is going to consume this whole program. I mean, it's sick itself. It explains why we lose more than 19 women every day. It explains why more than 300 children under the age of 5 die every day, not every week, not every month, but every day. Why? Because those that wield power, those that control our resources, that control our taxes, actually don't treat their people or don't get treated in our country. The people in the regime, they give back from here. Recently, I had you chased away one of them from Boston, because they don't look at our healthcare system as something that needs revamping.
But the president, who you normally say a dictator, has always emphasized that the economy is doing good, the hospitals are there, but people sometimes don't want to use them. So what we do?
I'm sorry, but well, with all due respect, I would discourage a young man or young people from listening to President Museveni, because the man does not seem to understand what he's talking about. But it's understandable. I mean, I just lost my father recently, and even science tells us that at a certain age, people are going to make mistakes, and they're not even going to understand that they're making mistakes. So I understand and I sympathize with him.
Okay, so you are giving me the last one, the last challenge you think. You gave me 2, power, yeah, and you mentioned about the health. And
like I said, I could give you 100. I'll give you one other. Look at our country. It's an enormously, gifted country. We are rich. Our country is rich. Our land is rich. We could be the food basket of the region. But it's not happening. Why? Because our agriculture is not empowered. You know that the Museveni regime destroyed all the cooperatives that were empowering the farmers. Agriculture cannot move on because all the land has been fragmented. Most of the land, the first family and their henchmen own land in miles, while people have been rendered landless. Land grabbing is the order of the day, and every land grabbing case is traced way to the doorstep of the president. In my constituency in Chadondo East, you saw how so many, more than 300 families were evicted off their land by an unknown person, you know, and when the president showed up, he acted like, what can I say? You see, I want to seem respectful to the president, but again, I want to say the truth.
Bring it out.
Yeah. So
bring it
he
out.
acted like, in Uganda we call it a mufere. You know, pulled out his phone. Thank you very much. Pulled out his phone and pretended to be speaking to somebody and giving solutions. Until today, no solution has come. The natural resources of our country, 100% of them are being controlled by just a small group of people. So we believe that Uganda is not a country that offers equal opportunities for everybody, which should be the case. Which shouldn't be the case. The country should be supporting and should be offering equal opportunities to every Ugandan in all aspects of life.
All right, so now you talked about unemployment, you talked about power. So let me start with the unemployment rate. We all know that Uganda has the largest number of youths worldwide. It's among the countries with the largest numbers. But we also know the unemployment, just as you talked about it. Now, in simple words, how are you going to curb the problem of unemployment now that we know you're running for that seat and we are sure that chances are you're going to become a president? How are you going to curb that problem?
Faith. I like people that have faith. The unemployment problem can be approached from different ways, but I'll just give you two. One, our education system. Our education system has to be revisited so that we train people to be useful. You know, if I was the president, which I will be soon, I think we should focus on productive education. We should empower skill development, where we know that even if somebody stops at P7, they have a certain skill. In the ghetto where I come from, not all my friends finished senior 4, but back in the day, the skilling was there.
Oh, but then let me cut you short a little bit. How do you guys survive in the ghetto?
Well, you cut me short, but I really wanted to finish that.
I wanted to finish.
And secondly, right, you notice that corruption is the order of the day. Yeah. People get employed not on merit, you understand, but because they belong to a certain tribe, or they belong to a certain background, or they know a certain person, which shouldn't be the case. And that explains why you'll find an 80-year-old man having 3 jobs, while a 25, 30-year-old man or woman has no job. That explains it. Now, how we survive in the ghetto, that's a different story. Yeah. For another day. But we survive anyway.
All right, so let's look into now the corporate world. You know, in the United States, we now know that the corporate organizations manage and run almost the political environment of this country.
Yeah.
It's well evident and everybody knows that. Now, in Uganda, we have rich people and all that who have higher chances of supporting people like you who has come out to fight against dictator Museveni. But they're scared about their businesses. Yeah. And that will create unemployment rates. It will increase the unemployment rates. Now, how are you going to bring in the wealthy community, those who own corporations that currently are supporting the regime in power, to support your idea so that you can take control of the country?
You see, unlike your thought, which I respect, I don't think we should rely entirely on the business community. Okay? Because the business community, with all due respect, the elite and those so-called first-class citizens have betrayed the country. Because of the terrible system of patronage, they've either been compromised, assimilated, or intimidated into silence, you will not hear them say anything. And the few of them that support us actually support us silently. So we rely mainly on the common citizens that will put their boots on ground, that will go register as voters, that will cast their vote, and will come out to defend their vote. You'll find that most of the rich men don't even vote. So we are not, in our revolution, we are not, while we respect the business community, while we respect the elite, we are actually out there as common people, as ghetto people, first and foremost.
So the ghetto, you know, if I break you down, I like the way you bring in the term ghetto. The ghetto right now uses the internet so much.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ways that the people power idea has been promoted almost everywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you this. The government has chances of shutting down the internet during the election time. How is the information going to flow?
Man, we live in 2019. We're young people, we are dynamic, we have options. In fact, we are options. You know, the internet has been shut down before, but we still communicate. You understand? Museveni got so scared that he even imposed a tax on social media. We still communicate. So some techniques, I'm not going to tell them to you here on TV, because I know that even the dictator himself is watching. I just want to surprise him. I just want him to see things moving. I just want him to feel the carpet moving under his feet. And we'll inform him later after we kick him out of power that this is what we did to kick you out of power.
Right. So I'm mixing two things, politics, economics. Now, we're looking into the president who is smart, a president who has led the country for 30 years plus, a president who is still vocal up to today, a young man in his 40s coming up to take control of that office. You still believe that you can outsmart a guy who has been in power for all those years?
First of all, I'm not yet in my 40s, but I'm glad.
You're getting there.
I'm definitely getting there. You're talking about a president who's been in power for 34 years? Yes. A president who is smart? I'm not very sure, because, I mean, any leader that does not see the inevitable, I doubt if they're smart. Any leader that does not pick a leaf from the happenings around him, I'm not sure. But again, I want to talk to you, picking on the examples around us. You just saw in Algeria a dictator called Bouteflika kicked out of power. You've seen very many dictators kicked out of power. I wonder why you still doubt that it is possible
to take control of that office.
Yeah, to take control of our lives. It's not a question of taking control of that office. We must divorce our thoughts from just the president's office. Because as a matter of fact, one of my desires is to break down that so-called presidential aura where a president is seen as a god. You know, we must reduce those powers. We must empower the institutions, because the institutions outlive human greed and all everything that comes with it. So it is not the presidential office. It is the empowerment of the people, so that the people hold the leaders accountable, even if it is myself.
I'm so glad you brought that issue of putting the powers down to the lower levels in the country.
Yeah.
The Constitution that we have today gives a lot of powers to the president. Now, my question is, how are you going to break them down?
As a matter of fact, even if the Constitution gives a lot of powers to the president, our Constitution was a good Constitution, and if it was respected by Museveni, we would be all right.
You say it was.
I want to remind you that Museveni bribed members of parliament in 2005 with 5 million each to amend that Constitution to remove the term limits, to allow him rule beyond his mandate. And just 2017, he could not, bribing alone could not, you know, save his day. While he bribed some of the members, even a fair number of members of parliament from his ruling party, the NRM, defied him. What did he do? He sent the military to attack the parliament, beat up members of parliament, maimed us, illegally detained us, and he abrogated the constitution. So there's no constitutionalism in Uganda. There's no respect for the constitution. Our parliament is just, you know, a talk show, for lack of a better word. So I wonder what kind of constitution or constitutionalism you are talking about.
The 1995 that has always been amended.
I mean, it's the constitution, in my opinion, to Museveni is like this table. When if he wants to walk to you, he's going to pick it, put it on the side, and do what he wants. And again, even the constitution as it is not respected. You see, under a dictatorship, the law is just a formality. The law provides, for example, for my fundamental right to practice my profession and earn a living. Guess what? Museveni cannot allow me to perform because he's scared of the message that I give the people. Recently he was on BBC and he spoke with impunity and utmost arrogance that he will not allow me to enjoy my country because I criticize his
Because you're responsible for foreign investors not to invest in Uganda.
No, Museveni and his misrule is responsible for people running away from Uganda and for our deteriorating international image. It is Museveni, it is not myself. Okay, this has been going on for the last 34 years. I started, you know, I came into parliament
17,
less than 3 years ago. How can I be responsible?
That's a good question, which deserves a good answer.
He should give us the answer. Maybe one day he will.
Maybe when I meet him, I'll push the
Sure.
question. But let me get back to you. So, the president, as a ghetto, and the president for the people power, I like one thing. Nowadays, are you still a ghetto president, or you now off that phase? You give the responsibilities to somebody else, and now you are eyeing at something bigger than that.
Let me break this down
Right.
for you. The people started calling me the ghetto president because I was offering leadership in the ghetto where I grew up from. And I believe that anybody can be a ghetto president, but what makes somebody a ghetto president? Representing the people and offering leadership, beneficial leadership to the people of the ghetto. I am not the president of people power because, like I told you, people power is not a group of people. People power is an idea. And it is the people of Uganda that will exercise that power to make anybody president. I'm presenting myself to lead the people of Uganda. And so is Museveni. So it's important to let the people of Uganda decide.
You are letting yourself to lead the people of Uganda come 2021.
Yeah.
There are so many other people who could also eye for the same office.
Yeah.
And now what I'm talking about is Dr. Kizza Besigye.
Yeah.
We have had reports that you and Dr. Besigye talk.
Yeah.
Ugandans think, especially those who believe in Forum for Democratic Change,
Yeah.
they have not seen their constitution being amended, meaning they have to present or front a presidential candidate come 2021.
Yeah.
What is the move behind? Are you guys talking? Is he going to let you run for president, or he's also coming?
I'm certainly not in position to speak for the FDC, and I'm not in position to speak for our senior comrade, Dr. Kizza Besigye. But I can speak for myself, and I can speak for the team that I lead, and I can speak for the young Ugandans. We think that Dr. Kizza Besigye has offered an amazing sacrifice to the people of Uganda. He has run for president 4 times, and I am convinced that he has won twice. But
He lost 2 times, right?
Well, I wouldn't look at the times that he has lost because I'm an optimistic thinker. So I would look at the times he has won. I'm convinced he won twice. But yes, he was not able to take power. I will not delve into that.
Right.
Uganda being a young country, and the people of Uganda needing something new. That is the reason why I offered myself. That is the reason why my team and I thought that we should have a brand new approach. It is our desire to work with Dr. Kizza Besigye because he is such a resource. You cannot wish his resourcefulness away. And we are in a conversation. And I believe, by the grace of God, we will work together with Dr. Kizza Besigye to put an end to the Museveni dictatorship.
The reason I ask you that question, during your parliamentary campaigns in 2017, FDC fronted a member. And the reason they gave was not that you were not good. You were a good person to represent Kyadondo. But they said the constitution of FDC doesn't allow them to not front someone. He may not be Dr. Besigye, but somebody else. Will you be happy if FDC fronted someone else as a presidential candidate?
Thank you. I would really love us not to reduce this conversation to political parties. I respect the FDC, the DP, now the ANT, JEMA, and all these other political parties. But again, even before I ran for MP, you notice that Dr. Kizza Besigye is actually a mentor for me and a close friend. And he used to guide us, and rightfully so, that much as in rhetoric, we are a multi-party country, and that's what our constitution provides. But there's no political party in Uganda. I mean, you saw recently that a registered political party, in fact, the official opposition political party with the biggest number of opposition members of parliament in the House, cannot even be allowed to organize. You saw how Dr. Kizza Besigye was tear gassed and sprayed with water. He almost lost his life. So we are living under a dictatorship, and it would be foolhardy of us to lie to ourselves that we are living under a multi-party system. We are living under a dictatorship, and that's what explains why we as People Power, we are not a political party. We seek to bring together all these political parties that stand for the same values like we do, to liberate our country, so that political parties can be allowed to operate, so that Ugandans can be allowed to dissent from each other respectfully without being maimed, without being beaten, without being blocked.
Let me take you down to, I want to just kind of like a break, just it's out of what our discussion is about, but recently had a prayer with the little mama, Suvi, if I may be correct. could you tell me something about that prayer? I'm looking for the title, but I've forgotten the title.
Man, I'm gonna kill Buddy for putting home things on the internet. Anyway, I come from a rural home. I grew up with a very loving father. I was not lucky enough to live with my father for so much, but the few times that our father was with us, he tried to love us so much. And among the things that I learned from my father is not the foreign style of tooth fairies. Every time we removed our teeth, we knew that there was a rat that would go to the bank and give us money. And they taught us to sing for the rat, to dance for the rat, but most importantly, to pray to the rat to give us money. So there's that prayer that our father told us. Some baboon had brought, and he taught that to us, and we also continue to teach it to our children. And that prayer goes like, Kuku penene, Maria Mungu, mpale bisoto, sebo wamese, mpayo sente. I mean, yeah, I'm only trying to be to my children what my father was.
And that's really great, because there are many young people in the world who never get such a chance for their parents to have a moment, interact with them and what. And your family has been in the media for now quite a period of time. So it's an inspiration to many people. Now let's get back to our politics. You inspired so much by Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
The great.
Yeah.
the father of Africa.
Yeah.
He stood for just one term.
Yeah.
The constitution of Uganda now has no term limits.
Yeah.
You're eyeing for that office, and
Yeah.
you as a president, you have a lot of powers to influence what has to happen next.
Yeah.
So regarding the process of term limits, what's your move?
We shall restore the term limits. It's dictatorial not to have term limits. It's like giving the incumbent president an open check, you know, a guarantee to rule forever, and that's wrong. And among the first things for us to do is to restore our constitution and to guarantee that never again will anybody manipulate our constitution to keep themselves in power.
This could be a very strict question, but at times I was thinking about it. He led the country for one term.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself?
Well, I see myself emulating those great men. I see myself empowering other Ugandans. I know there are so many Ugandans out there, even more talented and more qualified than myself. I'm a revolutionary leader who wants to return Uganda to the right trajectory and get back to my business. I'm a singer. I miss stage. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when you said about you were a singer, you missed stage, it reminded me of how us in the media, we have always said a musician who turned to a politician. I hate that statement because it's
invalid.
invalid.
It too. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
so the two of us hate that statement.
Yeah, it's a very invalid statement because you were still a musician.
And I did not turn into no politician. I've said it time and again. I am not a politician. And why do I say that? Not because I want us to get into the definition of politician, but because I know that the word politics has lost meaning, especially to the people of Uganda. So I would rather come to them as one of them. I would rather be a revolutionary because anybody can be a revolutionary.
All right, so now let me look into the foreign policy, then we are almost getting done, but let me look into the foreign policy. Uganda is now well known for sending troops to different countries to protect, those countries.
Yeah.
What is your plan? As a leader, if wants to get into that office, are you having any ideas on whether we should continue taking our troops there or we should stay back home?
First and foremost, I believe that we are our brother's keepers. Where our assistance is needed, there's no reason why we don't offer it. But we should not offer that assistance at the cost of our own people. I mean, we give our soldiers to keep peace elsewhere. Are we at peace ourselves with the rampant murders, with the rampant kidnaps? No. And secondly, what exactly are we doing in those countries? Are we there to keep peace or are we there to plunder them? It is on record what our troops did in Congo, and even up to now we have a huge amount of money to pay to Congo for the plunder of their resources. You know, what exactly are we doing in the Sudan? You notice that we are not innocent of these conflicts. And much as we are being, praised for our refugee policy, we must, we as Ugandans, must be alive to the fact that many times we've started these conflicts in these other countries. So while I know that we should have a friendly foreign policy, while our troops are supposed to be ready to provide stability to these countries, we must be we must do it in a way that is not causing problems there, so we can benefit from them. And I believe that's exactly what Museveni is doing. And beyond Africa, we should have a foreign policy that is value-based. You notice in the past, with our relationship with the United States and the European Union and Western countries, yes, we would have bilateral agreements, we would have relationships that are value-based. But ever since these countries started holding President Museveni accountable, especially in terms of observation of human rights and the rule of law, you notice the radical, the drastic shift to the east. We are relating more with China and with Russia, and rightly so. But I think we should not find ourselves dealing with people that don't care at all about our human rights record. I think we should relate with countries on a value base.
I can't take you far from there. First, I want to thank you for your time and the message that you put out there and responding to my questions.
Thank you.
I want to appreciate you for that. Now, today you are having a town hall meeting in Boston.
Yeah.
What should people expect in that town hall?
Well, we're going to interact with the people. It is not only about me. I give my views, they give their views. We know that Ugandans in the diaspora are such a big resource. They play such a big role in our struggle to liberate our country. So we're going to share ideas, but also to fundraise. You notice we don't have money. And it is supposed to be a Ugandan thing. So it is Ugandans, and let me also use this opportunity to call upon them, guys, we need support, okay? We have been blocked from working. We have been blocked from earning. Our accounts are being monitored by the regime. But again, we cannot stop. And guess what? We can only move if we have the support, the ideological support, the moral support, and the logistical and financial support from our fellow Ugandans. And that's one of the many reasons that bring us to Boston and other parts of America to interact with fellow Ugandans.
Sure. I want to thank you, Honorable, for your time.
You
we have so many stuff to talk about, but we have limited time because of the schedule.
I know, but I don't take this time for granted. It's amazing.
Right. So now that I know we will maybe get another chance and then we have an interaction.
Certainly.
I want to thank you so much. Now, to all our viewers who are watching us out there, we want to thank you so much for always keeping it Campfire Television. This is a special moment to always have once in a month, and we get those influential people who have what to communicate to the public. We thank you so much for watching Campfire Television. Keep sharing, keep liking all our programs. Let's meet at the town hall in Waltham with Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi. Have a great week, and don't forget, keep watching Campfire Television. We are going to be broadcasting live the entire town hall. Have a great time. See you next time. Honorable, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Great, man.
So when the going gets tough, toughness get going. Especially when leaders become misleaders, mentors become tormentors. Yaga, 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 yaga. Bimba. Omutima gumenyese nayenga kyemanyi munywanyi nawe gukumenyese. Abantu eyo gye mpitira bayongobedde bye basuubira nga byawukana ku bye balaba. Ate abalala bo ne babyetama banyigirizibwa ne babulako gye balopa baabwe. Egye wandibadolopera kibeera kizibu okufunayo obwenkanya. Gamba osigala wansi ensi bwe kusuula situkawo mangu tutambule munsi teri kyangu lugendo luwanvu situka tugende mu maaso situka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye tokowa tugende situka tutambule lugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka kale imuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi topowa tugende utambule olugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka. Remember, money justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Still we have to keep moving. I don't know what don't kill you will only make you stronger. Emyaka gibadde mingi n'okutoba nakwera kubadde kunjigoyi n'ensuubi libadde lingi nga tusuubira nti oba embeera nakyukamu wakiri ati nze kyenzudde enkyukakyuka gy'oyo yamunanga eri mikono gy'omwennyini kubanga oyo gw'olinamu ensuubi mu mazima naye alirinamu gwesebo kale gwe buli bw'onoogwa yimuka otambulirewo ebisoto byekubireko mu kkubo kubanga buli lw'onoogwa n'olaga nti okwamu amaanyi eno balabira kukwesebo obugubi bwoyitamu naffe bwe tuyitamu naye tulemerako paka lwe tunamalako omuliro gutwakiramu gusinga gwe tuyitamu yaga siduka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi naye tokowa tugende siduka tutambule olugendo luwanvu bwe tulemerako tutuuka obiyimuka tutambule embeera emalamu amaanyi tokowa tugende obiyimuka tutambule olugendo luwanvu kati nzijukiza kwe yebase na buli eyekubagiza muganda wange kugamba situkirawo tulinawo omulimu omunene gwa kuzimba buganda erensi bisaba baliddawo oba tosobola kutuka wakiringa otambula oba tosobola kutambula wakiringa oyabula oba tosobola kwabula wakiringa wewalula naye kyonna kyekiri sigala ng'omuvinga tewali mireme gye bagenda kuletera awaka ku sosiyo oba tuli mu majubusanoka ngole ku voisiyo sigala ku kosiyo naye manya rights zo tolema kukolerera buganda gwezimba ggwanga lyo wadde ng'abeewo tebali ku sayini wadde ng'abeewo tebali ku sayiniyo kwezanya patiyo oba lino ggwanga lyo